Well everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra and see how this particular phone holds up in 2024. Now I've already done so many reviews of this thing this year even and comparisons, so we're going to look at it specifically in the middle part of this particular year. And the thing I'll definitely tell you is that for a lot of different people, this might be a phone that some people might, want to go ahead and buy and they may want to go and kind of get their hands into. But I would probably tell the average person to not go ahead and buy a phone like this anymore. And the main reason for this is because it is kind of outdated. And we'll talk about that throughout this whole entire video. The outside of this body though still kind of holds up like fairly well. I would say for it having this good of a display is very impressive. It's a 6.9-inch 1440p dynamic AMOLED display, 120Hz display too, and this is by far one of the best panels Samsung's ever made. Now, it doesn't get like the brightest compared to phones nowadays, but it's a massive panel, hole punch display, curved panel as well. It's a beautiful device, and I'm a massive fan of the way this particular phone holds up, at least from the display front end, especially from the exterior. You're still getting a USB Type-C port on the bottom of this phone too, with an S Pen as well, which is super nice to have that S Pen capability. I love having it, and you do get that type of capability on this particular phone, which again is very, very cool. And on top of that, with this particular device, you are also getting that micro SD card slot inside of this phone as well. So that right there is another very cool thing. Having a micro SD card slot built inside of your device is amazing. I love having that type of capability. And once again, you are getting that on this particular phone, which again, I just love having. On the backside, you're getting this frosted glass back, which is amazing. You're getting this like camera setup, which is just bonkers for a lot of people because it's just such a good camera for so many different things that you kind of throw in at. And overall on the exterior, you're still getting a lot of flagship features like wireless charging, reverse wireless charging, a lot of cool stuff built in, which is really, really cool. My thing though is that this, although it's not like the best phone anymore, it still looks like if this phone were just to get released today, this could pass as like a Ultra phone, like a Galaxy S25 Ultra if they just added a couple more cameras on it. So beautiful device without a doubt. The only downside I would say for this particular phone in this day and age is probably the software. As you may know, this phone is not really getting any more software updates anymore, and this is probably the problem. It just stopped maybe like a version or two behind, so it's not like severely old, and if you're in the market and you wanted to go and buy a phone that still has some capability, this is like a decent option probably for some people. But here's kind of the issue that you're running into. This is a device that probably won't be lasting that long, even in terms of the security updates or anything on top of it. And sooner than later, you're probably going to want a phone that has some sort of software updates, in front of it, because you don't want to just go ahead and get a phone that's going to be, getting some software updates here, that's going to be outdated very, very soon. You really don't want to go through that, and I hope you don't go ahead and get a phone like this, because then you're going to be kind of stuck on the software update problem. But I will say for the average person, getting a phone like this is still perfectly fine. Maybe if you just need to go ahead and have a phone for like a couple months or like a year. But if you're planning on buying a phone for like years and years and years on end, you might be running into some issues on this particular phone. So just keep that in mind. Again, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it is just one of those small things to kind of keep in mind when you're going through and purchasing this type of device. So that right there is like another big thing to keep in mind. I would also say from the performance side, not like the worst performing device either. Like I've definitely had way worse performing devices than this thing. Inside of it, you are getting that Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chipset inside with 12 gigabytes of RAM, which is crazy, but you can go up down to 8 gigs of RAM if you don't really need all that RAM. And I will tell you, with the performance of this phone back then, it was a very good performing device. I really like this phone from the performance perspective, and I did feel like that was a very, very nice thing. I feel like with the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra compared to phones nowadays, this thing is a very decent performing device, which is something that I really like a lot. It's not perfect, but I do feel like Samsung did a really good job with the performance of this phone at that point, and I still think they did a really, really good job when it comes down to it as well. So overall, I'll definitely tell you, I like the Note 20 Ultra a lot. I think it's a very, very decent, good phone, but I don't know if it's a phone I'd recommend people to buy anymore. This phone is like fairly outdated in a lot of different ways, but it's very current in terms of the hardware. It's just outdated when it comes down to the software, if that makes sense. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.